If I told you there was nothing on the ground, you would believe me. But what if I told you that from the sky, that same place is a massive message, and that this message was written for you? Because in this story, you are not the viewer, you are the target. No sound, no life, just you, and an endless silence. Then you lift off the ground, and the truth slowly begins to reveal itself. Hundreds of meters below, a giant spider carved into the earth appears. A condor with its wings spread, a running dog, a long-necked heron, a monkey, a whale, and between them, straight lines stretching for kilometers. So precise that even today, planning this while walking on the ground is nearly impossible. And something is wrong here. Very wrong. The people who made this never saw what they were doing. So, who were they showing it to? Because at this point the question changes. This is not a work of art. This is a deliberately left trace. In 1927, a pilot looked down and froze. The first thing he thought was a runway. But a few seconds later, he realized this thing was not built for landing. These were made 2,000 years ago, and for 2,000 years, no one understood what they were. And the most dangerous part is this: everyone focused on the wrong question. Yes, there are theories explaining how they were made: rope, stakes, patience. But that doesn't solve the problem, because the issue is not how. The real question is this: why did they build something they could never see? Imagine dedicating your entire life to this. Your hands are torn apart, the sun burns you, months pass, and in the end, you finish it. But you never see what you created, because it can only be seen from hundreds of meters above, because the human eye was not meant to look from that distance. This is not human behavior. This is one of the greatest mysteries in human history, and its scale is something the mind struggles to accept at first. And this isn't just a single figure. The Nazca Lines spread across an area of about 450 square kilometers, more than 70 animal and plant figures, over 300 geometric shapes, and lines connecting them, some stretching beyond 50 kilometers. They are so straight that for kilometers they show almost no deviation. There was no GPS, no maps, no way to see from above. And yet the result was flawless. This is not planning. This is control. In the 1940s, some researchers noticed something. Some of the lines aligned with the sky, the sun, the equinoxes, the stars, and people felt relieved, because they had found an explanation, a calendar. But that relief didn't last long, because something still didn't make sense: the animals. If this was just a calendar, why is there a spider? Why a monkey? And even more strangely, a monkey that doesn't even live in this desert. These figures are not decoration, they were chosen. And right here, the story changes direction. In the early 2000s, archaeologist David Jongward and water engineer David Johnson began working together. Johnson's job was to find water, because here, water was life. This was one of the driest places on Earth. It received an average of 4 millimeters of rainfall per year. It was a place at the edge of human survival. One day, Johnson placed 2 maps on top of each other, and in that moment, everything changed. The lines were above water, not just some of them, almost all of them, which means if these lines weren't for the sky, they might have been for what lay beneath the ground. Underground water leaves traces on the surface. The Nazca people may have learned to read these signs through thousands of years of observation. The lines may have been a map of water. This was the code for survival. But there was still a problem. Water does not explain a monkey. They don't represent something. They call something. And maybe the truth was a combination of both. For the Nazca people, water wasn't just life, it was sacred. These lines, crossing over underground water, may have been both a practical guide and a sacred path of movement. Some researchers believe these lines were meant to be walked, rhythmic, repetitive, maybe dancing, maybe chanting, maybe in thirst. And in that moment, from above, everything made sense. Someone looking from the ground would see nothing. But maybe these figures were never meant for human eyes. In Nazca cosmology, the gods lived in the sky. And if your gods are in the sky, you don't write your message on the ground. You write it upward. Maybe this wasn't a prayer. It was a call. Prayers written into the earth. A plea carved into stone. Look at us. See us. We are here, and we are thirsty. Humans have always wanted to be seen. The Nazca people were no different. They wanted to be seen, to be heard, and maybe to be saved. But every message has an end. They survived for nearly 1,000 years, and for most of that time they struggled with drought, climate change, soil erosion, water scarcity. The collapse of Nazca was likely the result of environmental destruction. They cut down forests, the huarango trees that had held water in the desert for thousands of years. They wanted to create farmland, and maybe that decision sealed their fate. And then, the same story repeated itself. A people that survived for thousands of years destroyed their own ecological balance and vanished. This should sound familiar, because today, the greatest threat is human. In 2018, a truck entered a restricted area. Lines that had survived for 2,000 years were damaged in minutes. Maybe this message wasn't for the gods. Maybe it was for us. Look what we did. Look what we lost. Be careful. Today, people get on small planes. They look down. And for a moment, they feel like they are not alone. And when they see the condor, the spider, the monkey, something strange awakens inside them, as if they've seen these figures before. Maybe that's why this story never ends, because what we don't know about the Nazca Lines is far greater than what we do know. Every year, new figures are discovered. In 2019, artificial intelligence found 143 new shapes that the human eye had missed. So, the people who made them couldn't see them, and neither could we. Not until machines did. Lines made 2,000 years ago, only visible through artificial intelligence. Maybe some messages wait until their receiver is born. And maybe this was one of them. Or maybe it's simpler. They wanted to leave a mark. Because leaving a mark in the middle of nothingness is one of humanity's oldest instincts. From the first handprints on cave walls, it has always been this way. Always. The Nazca people are gone, but the message remains. And maybe that's the strangest part, because now, thousands of years later, we are the first species that can truly see it. The question is, will we understand this message, or are we already too late?